Ooh, this video's been a long time coming. It is, I haven't slept in I haven't been in bed yet. It's like almost 9 a.m. I couldn't sleep. So I've decided to get this ball rolling. I delayed making this video for so long because I needed to watch the finale of The Bad Batch Season 3, the end of the series, right? So, and I knew it was going to be very emotional for me to watch. So I took a break from it until I felt like I could process it. And plus there was other Star Wars works I need to get through first before I could process this one. So this season finale this series finale was beautiful. It was great. This might be the last piece of Star Wars media that I watched that I felt something, since like watching like Rebels or something like that, but it was bittersweet. Definitely feeling that way. This series as a whole, I remember, I'll never forget when we first get introduction to the Bad Batch and then Clone Wars, and I'm like, oh my god, I love these guys. These guys are so awesome and everything. And then we get their own series, and then their journey along. I mean, don't get me wrong, I had some highs and lows of this show in general, but for the most part, I really enjoyed this show, and it was great. The tone of the last season, especially where they went especially with the death of Tech, which I thought they were going to bring Tech back. I'm not gonna lie, I thought he was going to be one of the clones that was hunting them down in season 3, and I guess he technically could have been, but they never specify that. In a way, I'm kind of glad they in Star Wars fashion they didn't bring him back, although who knows, if Emperor Palpatine can come back, why not, right? Which kind of ties in what this series was doing towards the end. But the tone they went, it was super dark, and they literally, the Empire's literally kidnapping, and some of the scenes of that, it got real for a second. Couple episodes, I'm like, dang, this is really dark, But the progression of the characters, especially Crosshair, his whole arc of, I betrayed my friends, and then I realized what I was doing was wrong, and how do I gain their trust back? How do I feel like I'm a part of this group again? Because I feel guilty, for everything I did. I'm the reason for so many of these bad things happening. I am indirectly or even directly the reason why Omega got captured, why my old member Tech died. I had some hand in that. It's really sad. And for this journey that Crosshair goes through of redemption, and I love that, his redemption, and man, he gets his hand chopped off. That was crazy. They showed they got his hand chopped off. It was absolutely wild. And then Omega's trajectory. I mean, when you first see her in the first series, she's just a scrappy little kid, and then she's still a scrappy kid, but she's an older scrappy kid who's learned how to take care of herself, and she's become kind of somewhat of a leader, natural born leader, especially when she's helping the kids escape from the cells. They're all worried and scared, but she finds ways of no, to stay calm and get them to be brave themselves and bust out of there. I love her trajectory in this entire thing. It was really great. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw Omega in the first season, I was Omega's she's a little annoying, but end of the season, I'm the last finale, I'm Omega's awesome. She's so strong and brave, and she's tough, that's great. She's a great character, and I wish I could see more of her, and I thought it was really nice that we got a little bit of time jump, and we see Omega she's grown up, and it was wow, and it's kind of just heartbreaking, you see Hunter there, and he's it's hard for me to let you go, but I have to let you go. You have to fight your own fight now. Our war is over, but yours is still starting. You have to go out there and make your name for yourself, and she's I'm joining the rebellion, and I'm that's so cool. She was in the rebellion, and it's that I love that how there's many Star Wars characters technically fought in the rebellion, but you don't see them in the movies, but in the lore they do in a way. Was it a lot of the clone troopers, Captain Rex, Captain Rex was fought in the Clone Wars, and and stuff like that. I think this is really cool. It would be cool to see live action of the Bad Batch or something like that. I don't think they'll ever do it, but if we got a live action Omega, I wonder who would play her. If they did it right now, my bet's on Anna Taylor-Joy. That's what I'm betting who they would pick. But regardless, yeah, it was such a great finale. And it was a good 15-minute chunk. I guess 10 minutes of that as credits, but it was great. And they brought back the Zillo Beast. I was I did Leo meme, who look, yeah, I remember the Zillo Beast from Clone Wars. Yeah, and it just runs rampant. I think the Zillo Beast ate somebody. That was so cool to watch. I was hyped the entire, like, I legit felt something watching this, you know, and I love the story. I love everything that just happened, you know. One thing as we've progressed into society with media and everything, you know, drifting away from movies and even coming to shows, you know, there are good and bad sides to it. Don't get me wrong. But one of the best things I think that has happened with TV shows is expanding the lore. And I think Star Wars did it pretty good, especially like when the prequels came out. Most people did not like the prequels. And I remember that. Then Clone Wars came out. People did not like Clone Wars. But like over time, eventually we get the Clone Wars going. And then people realize, oh, this show is actually like well thought out, and it really expands what George Lucas was trying to do with the Clone Wars and like tell this grander story. And I've heard people say in interviews talking about how like those prequel movies don't do the Clone Wars justice, like, and everything that happened between like the Separatists, the Jedis, and everything and all that. So the Republic, right? It just doesn't, you know. And then we get to this part, you know, and expanding more on the lore. And one thing I've talked about Star Wars before is, you know, Jedis are cool and everything, but there's just so much out there. There's so many stories that could be told, and just in a really cool way, and expand on the lore. You know, it's like I told someone the other day, in a D&D campaign. You may not always get to expand on your lore, but you could always expand on it in a one shot or a different campaign. You know what I mean? Like there's just multiple ways you can do it, right? So, and what I really enjoyed about this is how they give hints to what happens in like the last trilogy, you know, with Project Necromancer. I heard that and I was like, yeah, that's definitely like alluding to Palpatine, him like coming back from the dead, you know. That's definitely alluding to that. There's no way that's not alluding to that. And I liked how, like, I know a lot of people did not like those movies, you know, but I did enjoy that it's not ignored. You know, one thing I don't enjoy is if something comes out and it's bad, a lot of people just want to forget it. For me, it's like, okay, maybe we made a mistake, but let's expand on it. Try to like give reasons why this happened. Let's expand in it elsewhere. That's something I enjoy that happens, you know. But to the common folk, it's like I think I mentioned this in another one of my videos. I think it was in Acolyte. I talked about one of my friends like, oh, I didn't like Ahsoka. I was like, well, it's because you didn't watch Rebels, you know. I mean, and that's one thing I enjoy much is I love learning about the lore. It's the whole reason I've watched the majority of the Star Wars shows is because I just want to see an expansion of lore where they take it where they're going. The only one I haven't really watched yet is Resistance, although I do plan to. And I've had some people who have watched it and they're like, it's fun, like, you know, it does expand on lore, although they had to work within the confinements of those movies because they were trying to release them before like at the same time, I guess, with the other one, so it was kind of weird. But I said that's the beauty of a TV show. I think Star Wars usually does it very well with the animated shows. Live action sometimes is a different story. You know, but I've always loved the animated Star Wars shows. They've been some of the best pieces of media that I've ever watched. Are they perfect? No. You know, Rebels and Clone Wars, they have their faults, and so does Bad Batch. But like that trilogy of me for those three Star Wars shows and that animation style, absolutely love. Like peak media for me. And you know, you may have different opinions, but this is just my opinion in my video, right? And this Bad Batch and I call it the last batch because it's probably for me the last batch of like Star Wars animated series that I probably would ever truly like care about. Like I don't know what they'll release in the future, but to me this is the final Star Wars video I might even make, because I've even said it before, I've made Star Wars before. People just, they're very passionate about Star Wars, and it's almost a topic I don't even want to touch anymore because so many people are very passionate about Star Wars. And that's one reason I chose to watch the Bad Batch season finale after, like, you know, Acolyte and stuff came out, because I wanted to leave on a high note. I didn't totally hate Acolyte, but like I knew that I would love this finale more and I would enjoy it very more. And I'm glad I waited because I had fun. I had fun watching it, and it was emotional and everything. There were so many nods to this and that. Like, yeah, I mean, I almost say it was perfect for me. You know, a lot of things about it was just, I enjoyed it so much. And that's like, is really all I can put it at. Beautiful, you know, so much greatness to it. And it was really about the friends they made along the way. Yeah, and then there's so much evil too, like Hemlock. Oh yeah, and then there's like Hemlock was just the part where they defeat Hemlock was so cool, because it was definitely like, you have to trust me on this, buddy. And they take him out, and it's just a cool way. Like she like stabs him, shoots the cufflinks, they shoot him again, and he just falls off. And I was like, that was dope. That was how they do that. And then like the clones all charging together, like, yeah, we're in this together, brother. Like, and then Rampart's all like, I'm gonna take this research for myself. And then boom, she like blows herself up to save the to destroy the research. So many sacrifices, so many like, I'm gonna take in my final. I literally thought Wrecker was gonna die because there were parts where he was like a barbarian. He just uses like he uses last rage. He's got exhaust points. Like, I literally thought Wrecker was gonna die. If Wrecker died, I would have been heartbroken. You know, I already lost Tech. I mean, Wanda Sykes over here never got the day in the sun with her man. I would have been a wreck for Wrecker, you know. But I think it ended perfect ending to the series. Perfect. It's sad that it's the final season, but it's one of those things that, like, I think it's a good ending there. You know, so many times I've seen like a series just, it went on a little bit too longer than it needed to, just a little bit. And I think these 3 seasons were good. Like, just, we'll leave it at that. If we want to expand even more, we can just do another show, drop Omega in there, you know, one of these other characters. Like, I think that's it. Like, we're good here. And I think a lot of media needs to realize that, like, hey, we need to quit while we're ahead, you know. And even if you want to continue something, definitely, like, I think there's a good window of like, okay, we did a show, it's really good, let's end it there. And if we ever want to bring this back, let's give people time to like soak it in, let them miss it, and then we'll bring it back to them. And I think that's a good way to do it. Although, you know, studios like, I'm trying to make money, but I think that's a good thing that's, you know, studios need to start doing. In something while it's ahead, and if you want to bring it back, let us miss it a little bit and then bring it back or expand it elsewhere. I think that's a good rule of thumb. You know, you don't want to be milking it too much, right? But yeah, the last batch of Star Wars media that I think I will watch for a while, the Bad Batch season 3, it was just so good. It was so good. I just can't express how much I like. I'm at the point where I'm lost for words. I don't know if there's any more I can say of it. I mean, breaking down this and that, you know, like I said, a lot of great character developments. Like, even Emery with her whole, like, I'm questioning that's the one thing I enjoyed is like the questioning of the Empire. It's like, especially with Crosshair too, like, this is wrong. Like, they're testing on children. Like, I probably should do something about this. You know, one thing I love in a media is like when there's an organization that's like bad and then somebody like turns, wait a minute. It reminds me of in Rebels, like when Agent Callus becomes good. That was one of I got so much satisfaction from that moment, because in a way, like, you kind of like Callus because it's kind of like in my opinion, when I was watching Rebels, it's like a Team Rocket situation where we're like frenemies a little bit, you know, and like, especially the episode where like Zeb and Callus are like stuck on like that planet together. This is getting way off topic, but I just love when like an evil person becomes like good, like, you know, when Vegeta joins the Z fighters, right? You know, something about that. It's just good for me. But I digress. You know, Bad Batch season 3, it was great. You know, if you haven't watched it and maybe you're feeling a little blah after like, you know, other Star Wars media right now, well, go watch Bad Batch. Like, go watch just all the animated, like Clone Wars, Rebels. Like, Rebels is a different beast, but like, especially, in Clone Wars, there's some filler in that, but Bad Batch was perfectly tied up in a bow. It was a lot of the fat was cut off, a nice, juicy, succulent Chinese meal. It was great. Now what, chat? Now what? I don't know what to watch. I'm trying to finish Peaky Blinders, actually, but that's not Star Wars related. Anyways, juice out.